Welcome to the Stackcard interview. I'm Matt, along here with my co-host Kevin.
Hello.
And today we'll be interviewing Brian Fury. We're going to have a little bit of a family reunion. My cousin, also the head trainer at New England Pro Wrestling Academy, top prospect in Ring of Honor at the moment. He's in the top prospect tournament, also on a hot streak in Beyond Wrestling. I believe he did lose last night to Zack Sabre, but there's no
shame in that.
No shame in that. That's the word. No shame. Sheamus. Raw at 8 o'clock tonight. Ugh. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, we've seen some of his matches live. I used to see him down at Chaotic Wrestling. But now it's pretty cool because while we promote our show, we kind of get to see what he does in the ring, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I know. He's obviously, one of the most talented wrestlers I've ever seen, and, just being able to get to see him at Beyond Wrestling has been nothing short of impressive, He just has such great mastery of the ring. So many cool moves. We got to see it on display last night, especially against Zack Sabre Jr. It was like a technical masterpiece, in my opinion. So, you name a move, he can do it, and he's gonna, give you 100% effort every time out. So
great groundwork, and I love our tweets. Always during the match, it's always like pop power bomb into a Boston Crab. It's like, I mean, usually the matches at Beyond Wrestling too, I'll remember certain moves during the match, but I can't think of a wrestler where I remember his finishing move.
Yeah, especially like in Beyond.
I remember Dijak. I think it's like a back toss into like a knee or something.
He does a couple of different moves.
Yeah, so.
I know Shinron kind of does like a twisting, flipping neck breaker, but I'm not sure what it's called.
But I think it's like the Dragon's something.
Yeah, but Fury, he's got like some cool moves. I mean, you said it, pop-up powerbomb into Boston Crab. Those are like two of the best moves ever combined into one pretty much. So
yeah, and just the strikes and knees like look very effective. All the submission.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I forget where I heard it before. It might have actually been at Beyond maybe once when they were introducing him, or maybe it was just reading something. But they described Brian Fury as the guy that most likely trained your favorite wrestler. Oh, I think it might have been in that match against David Starr. I think it was, yeah, because they were also, because like his last few matches, Brian Fury, they've been like these crazy technical matches. And David Starr is another one who's been wrestling since a really, really young age. So, I mean, Fury does it all, the training, wrestling, he's very in demand right now. I don't think his ceiling has ever been higher.
There's a nickname for him. I think it's the Man of New England at the moment. Something with New England in it.
Isn't it Firebrand?
Well, there's that. But then recently I've been hearing a lot with the Prospect Tournament and stuff for Ring of Honor. People are saying, like, he's like the most deserving wrestler in New England or something. Like, people keep saying this really. So, yeah.
All right. Well, what do you think? Give him a call?
Heck yeah.
Let's do it.
Live on the Stackcard Studios. See, I dialed the wrong number the first time around.
Oh.
So let's get our
That's
cup.
a mistake.
Make our water cup into good use.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Great. You're on the Stackcard. We're in recording right now.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Yep. Hey, Brian, just wanted to say last night, amazing match. It was an absolute pleasure to watch you take on Zack Sabre Jr. I mean, it was billed as he's going to be being this technical masterpiece. And, you guys really lived up to the expectations and maybe even surpassed them. So just a couple of questions about that. What was it like wrestling Zack Sabre Jr., and have you wrestled him before?
First of all, thank you for the compliments. I'm really feeling it today. My shoulders and wrists are killing me. As you saw, he is the master of joint manipulation. I really experienced that firsthand last night. We had never wrestled before. We had actually never met before until Saturday evening. We met up at the show in Orono, Maine, and actually he did a seminar at my school earlier in the day and taught some of my students some of that British style of chain wrestling. But it was an absolute pleasure to share the ring with him in his first foray into New England, and I think it's good for me to really show that technical side of me, because I don't always show that. I mean, I do a little bit in my matches here and there, but never to that extent that I did last night. And so, it was awesome. I would really look forward to getting the chance to wrestle him again.
Yeah, it was such an impressive match, and I mean, just from observing it, it was basically like a tactical chess match where, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think either of you even touched the ropes at all during the match. It was,
correct. There was never a rope break or anything like that. We always we tried to work our way out of every single hold that everything was ever put in. So.
Yeah, and that's really what made it so thrilling, because you didn't know what was going to come next, and I mean, like, we could just tell from our view, like, both you guys were in some agonizing pain there in some of those holds. So, I mean, it was really impressive being able to see you sort of incorporate some different holds and, take some things from Zach, and I'm sure he sort of worked along with you and had to up his game.
Definitely, and I don't think he, like from a tactical standpoint, I don't think he expected someone to try to match him at what he is known for, And I'm the type of person where, I like to think of myself as able to do any style of professional wrestling well enough to be able to hang with people. So rather than kind of lure him into something else, I decided to attack him at what he's best at. And I like to think I held my own and hung in there with him.
Yep, definitely. So, just looking back at, like your roots, what was the first style of wrestling that you trained in, and why did that style catch your eye?
The first style, I don't think I particularly trained in a particular style when I first started wrestling. I just started learning regular professional wrestling, all the basics and stuff like that. And actually, I guess within my first 2 years, the first style that I really learned outside of just American wrestling was Lucha Libre. Some Mexican wrestlers came up here to the Northeast where I was training, and I trained with them. And I actually took a trip to Tijuana, Mexico, and I spent 4 days down there and wrestled 5 matches in 4 days down there, and tried to learn that Lucha Libre style as much as I could, which really came into play much later in my career when I started doing other things, with some high flyers and things like that. So Lucha Libre was, especially back then, because the cruiserweights were so big in WCW and stuff like that, it was a really hot thing on at the time. So it was great to learn that style and be able to learn it at such a young age for me.
Of course. If you would say one type of wrestler that you had to go against, what's your favorite type? Is it the powerhouse? Is it the lucha type?
I don't necessarily have a particular style that I like to wrestle the most. I like to think that regardless of what type of wrestler is put in front of me, I'm able to wrestle a very different style of match against whoever it is. And Beyond Wrestling, where you guys saw me last night, has afforded me that over the past few months, with the various attempts to wrestle. And I like to think that, I can hold my own against any various style.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. Do you get the opportunity to go outside the United States often? Or is that, how many times a year would you say?
It's been a very long time for me. Right now, with the school and stuff, traveling far, and for, usually if someone was to go overseas, they make sure they're over there for a couple of weeks and stuff like that to make things worthwhile. Mm-hmm. So for me, with the school and stuff here, it's hard for me to try to schedule stuff like that. And it's been a long time since I've tried or pursued something of that magnitude to really put myself out there. I focus a lot right here in New England, and now I'm starting to branch out a little bit. I'm just getting myself booked as much as possible, just up and around this area, rather than travel and stuff. When I was younger, I traveled a little bit. Like, I was in Mexico, I've been to Canada quite a few times and stuff, but nothing too major.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brian, I just kind of want to discuss one of the most recent matches that you had in Beyond Wrestling, and that was with David Starr. That was probably one of my favorite matches I saw all last year. And
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it so much just because I think, once again, it was you versus Star, and, both of you guys have such great history in wrestling. You guys have been, training and performing for so long. So, what was it like wrestling with him, and, what did you guys think, or what did you think that you got from him, and what do you think maybe he learned from you or gathered from wrestling him?
Wrestling David was pretty cool. We had wrestled once very early on of me coming back from my ankle injury, and I didn't really have all my ring rust off yet, and just a quick short encounter. And from that match to this match, I can really see how much he's learned and matured as a wrestler, because he's still pretty new to the game. He's still within his first 3 or 4 years, so he has a lot to learn and a long ways to go. But that being said, he holds his own very well, and he can really command the room, and he has great ring presence and stuff like that already at this young age. I think that match was a real, I guess you could say, like a slow build type of match where we kind of felt each other out at the beginning, and things really started, we started dropping bombs towards the end. It was one of my favorite matches of last year as well, overall. It was a great way for me to end out the year of Beyond Wrestling. I'm not sure if I answered your question at the beginning, but but those are kind of my thoughts on the match as a whole. Thinking about it now,
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I kind of get it too. I think, and maybe that's why I'm biased, and I tend to like those types of matches so much, and yours in particular, because I do like those slow build type matches. I like the ones where there's a lot of like grappling and holds at the beginning, and it just sort of sucks you in, and then like the last few minutes you really get that big payoff of all the, the monstrous slams and the close counts. So, and yeah, I agree. I think, from what I've seen in Star, he has a really, really good command in the audience and stuff. He's really good at getting reactions. So I think just seeing you, both of you in the ring at the same time was just a pleasure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I was also curious to learn some more about your training school too. So just kind of wondering, how long ago you started training in wrestling, or training students, and what you enjoyed most about it.
Well, I want to say it was like 6 or 7 years ago, I decided to start training just one night a week at what was then known as the Chaotic Training Center. They were running 3 classes 3 nights a week, and the head trainer at the time had left pretty unceremoniously and left the school kind of open. And so Brian Malonis, myself, and Warbeard Todd Hansen all took on one of the days of the week each. So he was Tuesdays, I was Thursdays, and Hansen was Saturdays. And we each kind of brought our own style to the training. So it was cool for the students to kind of learn 3 different ways of things. I did that for a couple of years before the owner of the school at the time decided it was too much for him to kind of keep running things in addition to running chaotic wrestling and stuff. So he was going to close the school. And that's when I decided to really jump into the deep end, so to speak, and purchase a school from him. I renamed it and rebranded it, really started pushing it, and now I'm there 3 days a week. Actually, I'm there a little more than that because I'm kind of in and out on off days and stuff doing various things. And I've been there, owned it for almost 4.5 years now, and it's been awesome. It's been great for me to I'm learning again as I'm teaching and stuff, which is great, and I live and die with all my students, and it's one of those things where it made me fall in love all over again and in a different way with professional wrestling.
Yeah, it's pretty great, and the results really don't lie. You've trained some of the greatest wrestlers working in the industry today, so you want to just maybe let us know about some of your students who you've trained over the years, and maybe just some of the success that they've had so far?
Sure. Let's see. I trained Biff Busick, who is also known, I think, as Chris Gerard now down in NXT. He started with me trained him for a while before he took off and went to Lance Storm's Academy. And then he went to Texas and trained with Funaki some. He's one of those guys that I could tell really wanted it from the beginning with all the sacrifices he was willing to do, like make those long travels and stuff. So, he credits a lot of his foundation and fundamentals and stuff to me. Donovan Dijak, who is in Ring of Honor and has been killing it at Beyond Wrestling, is one of my students as well. And then, of course, probably my most famous student is the boss herself, Miss Sasha Banks, who is probably the greatest female wrestler in the world today. Trained with me as well, and so those three are like the most acclaimed students that I have. I have a bunch of other students in the New England area. Cam Zagami, Anthony Green, Christian Casanova, Brick Mastone, Travis Eric Gordon, and the list kind of just goes on and on and on of people that I've really trained from the beginning, and it's awesome to really see the mark of them kind of leaving in New England right now.
Now, you actually tag teamed with Zagami and Anthony Green a couple of events ago at Beyond Wrestling. Is that right?
Yep, they did a New England Pro Wrestling Academy match versus like an RWA type of match, and it was myself, Eric Gordon, Cam Zagami, Anthony Green, and Brick Mastone all teamed together. And it was kind of neat for me to get out there with all my students in front of the Beyond Wrestling crowd.
Yeah,
show everybody kind of like what we could do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was awesome to see, because I knew that you trained them, and then seeing you wrestle, side by side with them. But was that your first time ever teaming with your students on, like, an event or versing one of your students?
It was the first time teaming with that many at the same time and in that type of capacity. I've done a couple of regular tag matches with one or two, but nothing where it was a huge group of us like that going against another school. So it was a very neat aspect.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome.
Yeah, especially because I think you guys ended up picking up the win. I think that was back at Gratitude Era in FET. So yeah, very impressive.
Yep.
So Brian, like, what do you think are like some of like the key, key pieces of advice that you have for your students? Because I mean, you just named some of them. I mean, whether they're wrestling on big stages or in New England, I mean, they all have this sort of, this great skill set, and it seems like they all have very high characters as well. So what are some of the pieces of advice that you tend to give to your students that you think stick around with them so much?
We're big on the fundamentals, first and foremost. We like to say you can't build a house from the roof down. You have to start at the foundation and work your way up. And so I think a lot of the footwork and things like that we really harp on and focus on, so everybody can, really stand out just in that way. And then from there, I try to make sure everybody is an individual that comes out of my school. For years, when I was coming up in the business, too many of the people that came out of the same school were too similar and all wrestled like a same style. And if you look at just the people that were on my team at Beyond that night, Anthony Green, Cam Zagami, Eric Gordon, and Brick Mastone, those are four very different, very unique individuals, and that's just some of the ones that have come out of the school. And that's a big thing that I preach: be yourself. I always say, take what you know, make it your own. Then just put your nose to the grind and work hard. There's a lot of reasons in this business that make you want to stop and quit and leave, because it's hard and it's hard work and you have to deal with a lot of stuff. But if you keep working hard and pushing forward, good things happen to good people.
Yeah, it's definitely great philosophy, great way of looking at things. Just got to try to keep optimistic and take action, make sure you make the best of things. And it certainly seems like you practice what you preach, because you're having so much success, whether it's in Beyond, like we see pretty much every month, and also in Ring of Honor. So do you want to tell us currently what's going on in Ring of Honor?
Yeah, Ring of Honor, it's kind of crazy, because I had done very little bit of work for them a couple of years ago. I had won a Proving Ground match, and I got a television title shot years ago. And 5 days after that, I broke my ankle. And so I kind of like lost an opportunity to really move forward with them because I got hurt and stuff. And so now, years later, I was contacted by them in December and asked to be in this year's Top Prospect tournament. And it's funny, like the term Top Prospect doesn't necessarily apply to me because I've been around for like 17 years now. But because I haven't quite made it to like that level of professional wrestling, I guess technically I am kind of still a prospect. So it's an awesome opportunity for me on a national level to really be seen by a huge amount of people. So we did the first round matchups down in Nashville, and actually my match has already aired in Ring of Honor TV. I beat Shaheem Ali, and now I will move on to, did I say Nashville? Nashville's this weekend. The first round was in Concord, North Carolina, so I go to Nashville this weekend to go to semifinals and hopefully the finals, and then we'll see what happens from there. Hopefully, my goal is win, lose, or draw to really show what I'm capable of and make it so they have to continue using me.
That's a great way of looking at things. I mean, from everything I've seen, it looks like you can definitely attain that. So that has to be a really, really crazy schedule, though, for you with the school, with other events going on in New England, and plus working for Ring of Honor. What's like a typical travel week like for you?
Well, for me, sometimes things can get pretty crazy. So if I have a show on like a Friday night, depending on where it is, a lot of times I'll have to travel there, wrestle, wait till the show's over, go grab something to eat after the show because I'm usually starving. I have dates. It's like 3 in the afternoon, way before the show. And I'll get home, generally speaking, between 2 or 3 in the morning. I teach class on Saturday mornings at my school, so I'm there about 10. We start at 10, so I'm there about 9:30. So there's not much sleep there. And then class runs till 1. I'll usually grab something to eat, and I'll travel to whatever show I'm doing. On Saturday night, those are normally ones that are farther away, so I won't get home until even later. And then if Beyond Wrestling is running on a Sunday, whatever time I get home, I wake up, sleep for a couple hours, travel to the Beyond Wrestling show, and I'm there. And Beyond Wrestling shows, they tend to run 4.5 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they make sure the fans get their money's worth. And then I'm, late night, Sunday night, and then it's Monday morning. I'm pretty much dead to the world because of, the amount of not only travel and stuff, but the abuse that you kind of put in your body and nonstop. Not much sleep, nonstop. The action in the ring, and then sit in the car and get all tight and stiff, and get out and kind of stretch, and then get back in the car. And so it's rough. Monday mornings are rough, and I'm not as young as I used to be, so I don't deal with it as well as I used to either. I've become a grumpy old man on Monday morning.
Yeah, fair enough. That's quite a schedule, though. I mean, that's so much to keep up with. But, hey, keep plugging and chugging. Hard work will pay off. So you mentioned Beyond Wrestling and, showing up to there and being there for so long. One thing I've noticed about Beyond Wrestling is that a lot of the wrestlers will stick around for the whole show. It doesn't matter. If they're up first in their match, they'll stay the whole night, enjoy the match, stick around, talk with fans. So what's your experience like working with Beyond Wrestling? How do you really thrive off that kind of environment? And I mean, do you think, is there a certain guiding force? Is there sort of a locker room leader or presence that sort of keeps everything together?
Beyond is a very unique entity, and there's so many top guys that are in and out of there from around the world that everybody kind of wants to see all the matches. Everybody is excited. Us as wrestlers, we are still fans of the sport, and we get as excited about certain matchups as the fans do. And I don't think, I'm not sure if all the fans actually realize it. Not only, were the fans kind of excited to see Zack Sabre Jr., then the wrestlers were excited that he was coming to Beyond. And then everybody kind of wanted to see who he was going to wrestle, and they found out it was me. I received some messages and stuff, people saying, I'm so happy you get to wrestle Zach, and it's going to be a great opportunity, and then people were excited to watch the match, and then on top of that, the Hit Squad, who are some pioneers of strong style and the hot indie style of wrestling back in the day, wrestling guys like Gargano and Ciampa last night, who are kind of flag bearers for what it is now, doing things. And so some of the different matchups and stuff people get to see, I think that it goes a long way. It's why people don't leave. As far as locker room leaders, everybody is, everybody holds their own, and they all have a space. It's not like some places where there's a lot of newer people and students and things like that, and there's one or two guys that people go to. Beyond is one of the few places where I honestly feel I can ask 90% of the locker room for feedback on my matches or different things. Or people will just watch and come up to me and let me know what they think, and it's awesome to hear. There's no egos, there's no attitudes, anything like that in that Beyond Wrestling locker room. Everybody that's there loves professional wrestling, whether it's wrestling or just watching or talking about it and stuff. And I think that comes across in the product as well, not only just, in the locker room, people hanging out and watching this show. Like, I think it's such a very unique crowd and atmosphere for the fans that, we really feed off of it and we deliver tenfold.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, you can see it in the ring when there are matches. You could see the chemistry come out between everybody, and you could see a certain level of professionalism in the ring as well. You also work with Chaotic Wrestling, and you've held their world title numerous times. So what's it like working for them?
Chaotic is one of the mainstays of New England. It's funny because Beyond Wrestling is kind of like a hot up-and-coming product. And that's really, I look at Beyond Wrestling as like a PWG and a Ball, that type of independent, hotbed of type of thing. Chaotic Wrestling is more of a WWE type of style, family-oriented, full show, top to bottom products that kind of isn't a bunch of 5-star matches. I'm not saying the matches are bad, but this whole show will tell a story. First match will be something simple, next match will be this, very storyline driven, very backstage segments being shown on the screen. Same type of experience like if you were watching a Monday Night Raw or something like that, brought to you live right there in a close environment. And the people that have come from Chaotic Wrestling over the years is astronomical. Guys like obviously Damian Sandow, Kofi Kingston, Warbeard Hansen, Tommaso Ciampa, and things like that. Goes to show the type of product that it is and continues to be still to this day.
Yeah, no, I used to go to the events when I was younger. I haven't been to one in quite some time now. I know they usually have shows in Stoneham, I believe.
Yeah, they do one show in Stoneham a year. They usually run out of Woburn, Massachusetts. They actually have a show coming up in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and quite a few other places here and there. But they stay local right in Massachusetts as well, and they're a hot ticket as well. It's two very different type of environments for me, but I love both of them equally.
Of course, and it seems like Chaotic chose you to pretty much represent the brand, kind of like the face of the brand. I think they even did they name that big pay-per-view, or, well, I guess it's not really a pay-per-view, but it's a special event. They named it Cold Fury. Was that after you?
Cold Fury. Actually, no. Cold Fury is their biggest event of the year, but it was actually named after Latin Fury Louis Ortiz, who was a big mainstay here in New England and Chaotic Wrestling back in the day. And the first event, I believe the main event was him versus, I don't think it was Damian Sandow. I can't think of who it was, but he was the main event of the very first one, and that's where that name came from, and then it stuck every single year. So now they have taglines with it, so Cold Fury, Infinite Possibilities, and things along those lines. So, but Cold Fury is Chaotic Wrestling's marquee event of the year. It's Chaotic Wrestling's WrestleMania, if you will. Much like American Rana is Beyond Wrestling's, biggest event. So, that is the one that, it's like a can't miss type show. That's where all the storylines and whatnot build to for Chaotic Wrestling.
Yeah, because I did see a Cold Fury poster one time, and you were the front of the poster with the title. That's why I actually thought maybe they named the event after you. Speaking of your name, Brian Fury, how did you put that together? Because there's actually a Tekken character called Brian Fury as well. So
there is.
Yeah. So is that where you got it, or?
No, I'm not a Tekken fan. I'm much more of a Street Fighter guy than Tekken or Mortal Kombat or anything. Honestly, when I was first started training, my friend Justin just kind of threw it out there, and I didn't think anything of it as far as the Tekken character or anything else goes. I just had a nice little ring to it. It's funny, like when you're a kid, you think of a million different wrestling names and whatever else that you want it to be. And I was just like, well, like Brian Fury works, especially when I was younger and I was like a fast-paced, high-flying, high-energy type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm more of a little bit more slower and stoic and stuff, but I think the name still fits because it has like an intensity to it, and it works for me then, just like it works for me now. But yeah, it was just kind of, he just threw it out there, and been there ever since, just stuck.
Is that the same with the nickname Firebrand as well, or?
The Firebrand is within the last 3 or 4 years. That actually came from Michael Crockett, who was kind of doing things for Chaotic Wrestling at the time. There was a storyline where I had stolen the title and I got suspended and then caused a bunch of different, no pun intended, chaos at some of the Chaotic events and stuff. And so the definition of Firebrand is like a one who creates chaos and things like that. And so I was still wrestling as like straight edge Brian Fury for a while, and then when CM Punk got real popular on television and that was his gimmick, I got rid of that nickname.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like I needed a moniker rather than just Brian Fury, and so he'd come up with that, and I really liked it a lot, so I used that. And just recently I started adding New Hampshire's favorite son to that, just because I love New Hampshire and I love that term.
Yeah, definitely. New Hampshire's a pretty good state, especially on a Black Friday with no tax. That's
yes, everybody loves to do their Black Friday shopping up here.
Especially on that big road when you come off 93, off exit 1. You have the Walmart.
Yeah, it's right on Route 28. That's right. I live right off that road, actually. I live right off Route 28. But yeah, there's every type of store you could want right on 28, between Walmart, Target, Best Buy, Kohl's, and a million other places. The mall in Rockingham Park and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, everybody comes right over the border and hoards all of our goods.
It's great. Yeah, I think my dad lives right next to you, actually, because when I go up and see him, I go to all those stores often. So.
Yeah, he lives pretty close by.
That's pretty cool. So as far as characters go, what would you say is your favorite character to play? Do you like playing the heel or the face?
I think it depends on the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
For Chaotic Wrestling, they're a very family-oriented crowd, and I am a heel there, and I play the heel role very seriously, and I enjoy it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing some heel stuff for Beyond for a while, and they're a different type of crowd. They're a very smart crowd. They see through a lot of the characters and things like that, and they cheer or boo regardless of what you're actually trying to get them to do. So I think I just became a wrestler there. And I think that's kind of where everybody is. Don't get me wrong, there's exceptions to the rule. There's like the Crusade for Change, Darius Carter, they get actual heat. Chris Dickinson gets heat, but everybody still kind of loves him.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody there, they're just there to compete, and that's great. And I think that works for Beyond Wrestling and that type of crowd. But other crowds, when it's a lot of little kids or different things, like I really enjoy being a heel. One, because I can really control the audience in the manner that I want to control them and elicit the reactions from myself and my opponent that I want them to get. So it depends on the crowd, but I do love being a heel.
What is the craziest thing you've ever done as a heel? Have you ever like ripped up a kid's sign? Or
Oh yeah, I ripped up a kid's sign. There was a time a couple of months ago where I was wrestling Julian Starr, and he had gone out during intermission to sell something, and a little girl had made him a necklace out of all beads, and it had his name on it and stuff. And so he put it on and he wore it during our match, and I was beating him up, and I brought him over to the ropes, choking him on the ropes right in front of her, and I grabbed the necklace and I broke it off of his neck and threw the beads everywhere. And the little girl started crying, and her mom was yelling at me and stuff. And that was, I laughed at it because I made a little girl cry, which is terrible. But up in Maine, I remember having a match. It was like on a racetrack, actually, and in Maine, things get pretty wild, and I was a heel, and some guy came out of the stands and tried to fight us, and security was holding him back like 2 feet from the ring, and I spit in his face, and he got more wild, and a bunch of other people tried to start rushing the ring and stuff, so I like nearly inside of the riot. So I mean, those are two things that kind of stick out in my head as being fun memories as a heel to really kind of get things, fired up.
Yeah, because I did hear how great of a heel you were in the other companies. And I've heard great things, that you were one of the best heels they've seen in New England, one of the best heels they've ever seen. I hear that from a lot of fans of independent wrestling. And
well, thank you.
Yeah, I would love to see, believe it or not, I think you would be perfect for the Crusade for Change. I'm actually a big supporter of the Crusade for Change. I think we might be the only ones in the crowd, yes. I think they're there. They're just very silent. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know where the fans and the supporters are. But, yeah, I think you would be, like, great along with Darius Carter, because you play the heel role so well. And then you get TJ Marconi, who's that big powerhouse, and Darius Carter, who just loves the microphone and just absorbs all that heat, and he comes back with, like, fire, so...
Yeah, no, they take their job and they do it well, It's a fine line, between really getting heat and getting people to really dislike you, and they seem to do well, especially in front of that type of body.
Yeah, definitely. What are your thoughts on, like, a heel? Because I know now a lot of days with social media and stuff like that, a lot of the heels will play the heel character in the ring and whatnot, but then they'll go on social media and they'll be probably the biggest face you've seen. They'll be like, oh, support this good cause.
Like Triple H.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Like breaking that line there?
It's difficult because in this day and age, so many people are smart and hip to the fact that wrestling is entertainment, and people are playing characters and stuff like that. And you can thank the WWE for that. The beauty thing to me is most people that really believe or hate the heels and dislike, people that are mean on the shows. I think they're not really on social media, and they're not really looking for things to become friends with these people that they don't like. I think they've bought in enough to the fact that they don't like these people and things like that, and for whatever reason. That being said, in this day and age, people suspend their disbelief just for the show. Mm-hmm. And when they go home and they realize, like, hey, they're playing a character and stuff like that. That being said as well, there are people like Chris Dickinson that make people believe, even on social media and stuff, that is who he is. He is a maniac. He is a psychopath, and he is both of those things. I'm a friend of his, but he's still he's crazy, and talking to him sometimes is insane and intense. But there are some people that can ride that fine line, and it's difficult for a guy like me. Like if I play babyface one place and heel another place. I can't maintain like a heel status or babyface status online either. So I just kind of stay consistent with whatever it is that I say or whatever it is that I feel, whether I'm babyface or heel when I'm on social media and stuff.
Yeah. Brian, I had another question too, just because we're still sort of on the subject matter, talking about the various different types of wrestling that there are. Do you generally have a preference to like certain types of presentations? Like, for instance, there is like the WWE style where there are storylines and characters, and there also is wrestling, but it's more geared around the stories. But there's also, the Ring of Honors where it's more about the wrestling. So either as a spectator or a participant, do you generally have preferences?
For me, I enjoy storylines, but I don't like storylines that like insult my intelligence.
Yeah.
I think I need a story and I need a reason why certain things are happening for me to really invest myself that much more. Now, don't get me wrong, I can watch just wrestling. I can see two guys that are great and say, man, I really want to see that match. And a lot of people can do that. But I think for me, to really have like a vested interest in things as a whole, if there's a reason or if something has happened why these two people are wrestling, I like it that much more, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you definitely need that mix. I mean, a lot of the things that we see on, say, like a WWE, like maybe once in a while you'll get blessed with a really, really good storyline, but a lot of the times it is, like you said, kind of insulting. So you do need that balance, and you do need that maturity when you are going to lean so heavily on the storylines. So I see what you mean there.
Yeah. No, definitely, 100%.
Which, do you prefer TNA at all? Do you watch TNA? Or?
I have friends that wrestle for Impact Wrestling, and it's hard for me to watch it on a consistent basis. It's I never want to say, hey, I see too much wrestling, but sometimes I do 3 shows a weekend. I'm at my school 3 days a week. I make sure to try to watch Raw every week. I try to watch the pay-per-views and stuff every month, or not pay-per-views anymore because of the network, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The big events. I try to watch Ring of Honor. I try to watch some TNA. I openly admit I watch them on DVR with the fast-forward button and try to watch some of the wrestling or the characters that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've watched a full Impact beginning to end.
Yeah, because I agree with you on the wrestling thing. Sometimes it's like too much, especially doing the podcast and whatnot. We do events here and there, but then we do our show, we got interviews and whatnot, and plus on top of, working in college and whatnot. I watch Raw and then I watch TNA. I actually have watched a few NXT events. I haven't been able to catch Lucha Libre yet, so yeah, I know exactly.
Lucha Underground?
Lucha Underground, there we go.
You really haven't been watching it then.
Of course. So yeah, I definitely know what you mean when it's like hard to catch everything. I do love Impact though. I think if I could see you compete up against anybody, as far as character and wrestling wise, I think you would match up really good with Eric Young. I think Eric Young has just an incredible heel personality, and also he's very good in the ring. And between his pile drivers and your power bombs, I think it would just be very cool to see you guys fight.
Oh, thank you. It's funny because I haven't seen too much of his stuff. And I remember him the most from when he was kind of like a comedy character as part of Team Canada years and years ago. That's when I was kind of watching Impact on a regular basis. But he's really, like me, grown and changed over the years and evolved. And so, I'm seeing somebody like that. I would love to wrestle. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, like, do you know where you would like to see yourself within the 4 years? Which company do you have like a goal set for, either WWE, NXT, or would you like to stay in independent wrestling or maybe move towards TNA?
I don't have an actual goal per se. Not anymore. Like years and years ago I did. At this stage of the game, I am just trying to go out and wrestle as much as possible for the best possible companies. I think expectations as far as like, oh, I want to wrestle for this company, wrestle for that company, went out the window a while ago. And so it makes me appreciate and like opportunities that come my way more rather than really hoping and striving and failing and then getting an opportunity or things like that. So when things come my way, it makes me like it and appreciate it that much more if I'm not really like killing myself or trying to have a goal per se.
What about the wrestling school? Is there like a eventual goal there? Because it looks like you are putting a lot of focus in there, and it looks like you do have a big passion for educating up and coming wrestlers. So is there sort of a big time goal going on there?
Well, if it was possible, I would like to run the school 4 to 5 days a week and make that the only thing I have to do. Eventually, I'm not going to be able to wrestle forever as much as I would like to say that I am. I would, if I could transition things to make just that pro wrestling school the only thing that I do, and I was able to make a living just off of doing the training and stuff, that would be ideal. But if that's not the case, I have no issue continuing that how it is and trying to garner as much success out of my students from there as possible and hopefully transition that into, more and more students continuously coming down.
Definitely. And Brian, I think we're going to just get you out of here on one last question. And I mean, I think if you've done a podcast before, you probably know what to expect. It's always a cliched question. But I'd really like to know, is there one wrestler out there that you haven't faced yet that you'd like to take on?
That's always a difficult question for me. But just off the top of my head, I was talking with Johnny Gargano last night. And it's funny that him and I have never wrestled each other, and we've been on so many various shows and stuff together. So just because I talked with him last night and it's never happened, the first person off the top of my head would be Johnny Gargano. I think he's amazing, especially the things he's doing right now, working for NXT and stuff. And him and I have similar styles, I think, where we kind of match up well with a lot of different people. So I think with him and I put together, I think we could really make some magic in the ring.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to see that, and especially with Johnny participating so much with Beyond lately, I think it can really happen, so fingers crossed. So,
me too, thank you.
Yeah. So before we get you out of here too, did you want to just give us some information on the wrestling school, and if you want to plug your social media?
Yeah, no problem. So the wrestling school is the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. You can find it online at neprowrestling.com. Also on Twitter at neprowrestling, and there's a Facebook-like page as well for the school. As for me, Brian Fury, on Twitter and Instagram at xbrianxfuryx. I post all kinds of random pictures and stuff on the Instagram and random tweets that come to my mind and stuff like that. I don't have a Facebook-like page for myself because I just don't feel the need for that, and my Facebook page is at the 5,000 friends, so unfortunately you can't send me a request, but you can follow me on there.
You're a popular guy, it seems. Maxed out on Facebook.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, well, thanks, Brian. We really appreciated you coming on, and appreciate you giving us some insight.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for having me. I had a good time.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch. And will you be at Aurora in Providence as well next month?
I will be.
Okay,
I
cool.
will be. And I just found out recently who I'm wrestling, and I'm looking forward to it. But I can't say who it is.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
We'll wait for the surprise.
The suspense.
All right. Take care.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Thank you very much to Brian Fury for joining us. That was very awesome, learning from the true master.
Of course.
This guy, he knows so much about the industry. He's trained so many people. He's put in so much work. So, and I mean, I think he still has a lot more to do, and
I think so. I mean, he's made small appearances in WWE as a bodyguard and also as... Check a look at that text. That's kind of funny. So,
Wow.
So, yes. So, he has made appearances. He was a bodyguard for DX, and also wrestled Ryback in a handicap match. But it was a squash match, of course. Still pretty cool, though, to be able to be on WWE TV. In WWE, it's one of those things like, for instance, even Shinron.
Yeah.
In my eyes, one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. He was on TNA a few weeks ago, wrestled Jeff Hardy. It was kind of a squash match. I mean, Jeff Hardy put him away with under 5 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
But that's how it is in any, TNA, WWE. Eventually you work your way into it. So, it would be cool. I think if I could see him in any company, I'd like to see him in TNA. I mean, like he said, he doesn't have that destination on where he wants to go. He just wants to go out, put on the best matches possible, and if an opportunity comes, he'll take full advantage. But I would love to see him in TNA. I mean, I just watch TNA so much, and having Michael Bennett there now, another guy who's done a couple of Beyond shows, along with Eric Young, Ethan Carter. They have a lot of those really good, talented people, and I just think he'd be such a great addition to the roster, especially now with Angle retiring. I think you need to direct your focus, to signing people, maybe like Warbeard, Hanson, and Raymond Rowe, and those guys there. War Machine.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of really good tag teams right now, too, in TNA and the X Division, so would be cool to see him in there, especially because he said they used to do more fast-paced stuff. Now he's kind of like, he constructs the match out very, in a good pace, and he executes the moves more, I don't know, it's more like I can't think of the word. It just puts the match together perfectly. And so I think the X Division would be kind of cool to see him in.
It would be, yeah.
Because we've seen him do outside the ring dives and stuff. He's still doing stuff like that.
He can do top rope moves, that's for sure. But the thing is as he mentioned to us, he's not feeling too well today. Still sore from the match yesterday. But
of course, if we wrestle Zack Sabre Jr., too.
I don't think I would even be able to do the podcast. So
and we're just sitting in a chair talking. So you can imagine how it feels. I think with Zack Sabre, he just picks a part of your body and just targets it, attacks it, and especially his first time in New England too. So that was kind of an honor, for both of these men to go up against each other.
Yeah.
Especially, since that's his first time in New England. So
definitely, yeah. So definitely impressive.
Can't wait going up with New England's best too. Brian Fury is one of the head trainers, definitely, and he owns the school now. Yeah. Not only that, but he's just been around and giving back to the organization so much, giving back to wrestling in New England, and really think of where wrestling would be in New England without him. I think he was kind of one of those pioneers that led the way, and it's a very good example for a lot of wrestlers out there that you don't necessarily have to make it to WWE to make it. Yeah. You can make it by just being yourself, doing what you love. I mean, he's doing what he loves, and he's put on some of the greatest matches. And to him, it's like he made it, As long as he's doing his best, it's something that he loves, and he's able to, obviously live off it. Then you make it. WWE doesn't necessarily mean you make it. A lot of people go to WWE and walk right out the door. I mean, look at James Storm. He had the chance to be in WWE, but the traveling is a lot. It's a lot of hard work that goes into it, and you don't necessarily get to take that character from the independent scene. You're controlled a lot more. You don't have that freedom, and especially even with moves, and a lot of things are very limited. Like we were going over stuff at Beyond yesterday. And Drew is very, very flexible with the wrestlers. And that's why I think a lot of guys like working I don't want to say for the company, because as Drew said, this is all of us, the staff, the wrestlers, we're one.
Yeah.
So he gives them that freedom. He's like, okay, you guys can. Obviously, he's got to go by a time limit for the hall to end the event. But other than that, I mean, the guys have pretty good freedom from what I've heard, and they like wrestling for that venue a lot.
Of course.
And we love being at that venue and promoting at that venue.
Definitely do, because it's so close to home, and then afterwards we can go to Nick's Bistro.
Yeah.
Get delicious food. Yeah, but I think what Brian's doing is amazing, and the best thing about it is he's giving back. He's living the dream. He gets to do what he loves, and at the same time, he gets to teach, and he gets to bring up all these new students. And it looks like he has so much passion for educating and teaching people about the art of wrestling. So it's great to see.
Owning a wrestling school alone,
yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, truly living the dream.
Very few people get to say that they get the opportunity to do that, because very few people, in my opinion, are good enough to do that. I don't think. I mean, there might be some main guys on the WWE roster that couldn't be a owner of a wrestling school and operate a wrestling school, even if they're very good in the ring.
Yeah,
you could have one of the best people in the ring, but then as far as a trainer goes, you just have to have the right mindset for it, because like Brian said, you can't have, sometimes there's people that come out of the same wrestling school and they all wrestle very similar.
Yeah.
He likes to train all different types of wrestling styles, so I think to be a trainer, and especially own and operate a business like that, definitely very few people can do that.
Definitely. Well said. All right, on that note, we got to watch Raw. It's Monday night. It's a little past 8 o'clock.
Do we have to? I mean, it's 8:16. I think we have it on the DVR.
Yeah, but BT's probably coming, so.
Our expert analyst, Benjamin, is going to stop by the studio, but not to do a podcast tonight.
Maybe this Friday. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the later we start Raw, the better. We start it at like 9, 10.
Yeah, but we have to upload this. We have to SoundCloud
course,
everything. Get this out.
So,
check Twitter.
Here's what we do for Raw, just in case you were wondering. At 9, 10, we start Raw.
Lately. We shouldn't go that late anymore, because...
You know what, though? We catch up by 10.
8:40. Yeah, but we want to be tweeting, too, and
That's
mingling
true.
with our
We like to do live tweets, but with all the commercials, all the network plugs, and... Man, I mean...
All the USO matches.
Let's just put it this way. If you don't operate a podcast and do, as our sign says in back of us, Raw live tweet every Monday, if you don't have to do a Raw live tweet, start it around 9:15, and you'll be caught up by 10 o'clock, live. I mean, if you don't want to see any commercials, start it at 9:50.
Yeah.
But that's my advice, my Monday night advice, so.
All right, let's just cut it.
We're going to cut it.
That's it.
We're
out of here.
All right.
We love you.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you on Friday, probably, or maybe later in the week. We'll see.
Well, we're going to do the show on Friday, but we're going to upload Saturday. So you'll see us Saturday, but we'll see you Friday. Does that make sense?
Boom. That makes sense.
You didn't see Bada Bing, how you doing?
Yeah, you do that on our show, not on the interviews.
Oh,
Boom.
okay. Well, bye-bye.